Now we've looked at taking out a highest common factor, difference of two squares, trinomials, and now finally on to grouping. So it's exactly in the name. We need to group certain terms together. When do we know that we're supposed to do this? Well, in this case, we've got 4 different terms. If they all had the same common factor, then we would just take it out and be done with it. But they don't. They don't all have the same common factor. So we need to group the ones together that's got a common factor. Now with grouping, sometimes you have to group the first 2 terms together. Sometimes you have to group the first and the third together. So you're going to have to play around with it and get used to it and get confident so that you can spot which ones you're supposed to put together a lot faster. Okay, I'm going to put the first 2 together. And if it doesn't work, we'll just try something else. Why am I putting the first 2 together? Because they've got a common factor of 5. Be mindful there with the sign in front. I can't just put brackets around without checking and testing for the signs. See what I mean? If we need to stay true to these signs, negative ty and negative tx. So if I multiply that back in, I stay true to that sign, which is great. And then if I multiply this in, I must get to negative tx. So this must be a plus. So if I multiply that back in, it gives me that. Okay. So just double check when there's a minus in front, when we put brackets around, we're going to have to change the sign. Let's take out the common factor in the first term now. Now we've only got 2 terms. We've grouped terms together. Take out the 5x plus y. Take out the t, y plus x. Okay, now this is a successful grouping. How do we know? Because once you've taken out a common factor, you want some common brackets. That would be ideal. Now earlier we looked at changing signs where we want to flip things around. It's not necessary with this one because it is addition. With addition, we can just swap them around and it has the same meaning. Think about this. 3 plus 2 is 5. And what did I say? 3 plus 2 is 5. And 2 plus 3 is also 5. When it's addition, we can just swap the 2 terms around. It doesn't matter. It's with subtraction where we have to be careful. So let's take out the common factor. They share common brackets. Leftovers goes into the second set of brackets. So we take this out as a common factor. There's 5 left in the first term, and there is that left in the second term. And there we are done. It is fully factorized. Let's look at the second one. So for 2 again, it's 4 different terms. They don't all have the same thing in common. Let's first of all try to group the first 2 together and let's see what's going to happen. I'm going to group the first 2 together because they've got some common factors. Let's see if it's going to work. Then be mindful of that negative, so we're going to have to check our signs. We need to stay true to the signs in the beginning. If I multiply that in, it's going to give me negative 16x, which is what we need. And if we multiply these in, it needs to give us positive 12. So this needs to be a minus, because if I multiply that minus, it will give me the plus 12. So take out of the first term x squared, then we've got 4x, and then minus 3. That's the common factor for the first term. There we can take out a 4, then we've got left 4x minus 3, and it looks like the grouping is going to work because common brackets formed. So if we take out the common brackets, so there's the common brackets, we take it out. Leftovers goes into a second set of brackets. Left over there, we've got that. Left over there, we've got that. And remember we said we always need to check and make sure that it is fully factorized. Do you see what I'm seeing there? That this, what is that? What form does that take on? We've got some difference of 2 squares. 2 terms separated by minus, and they both are perfect squares. So we just carry this one over. This one will break up into 2 sets of brackets, as dots normally do. Square root of the first term, square root of the second, 1 plus, 1 minus, and now it is fully factorized. So always check for that. Okay, number 3. Let's have a look and see what's going on there. It doesn't seem like there's going on much, but let's not underestimate this. We've got 4 different terms. They don't all have the same common factor, so we'll have to consider grouping them. Well, is it going to work, do you think, if we group the first two and we group the second two? Well, I don't think so, because we don't have a common factor in the first one and we don't have a common factor in the second one. So with this one, we're going to have to try something else. What do you think? What did you try? Maybe we should try and group the first and the third, because then at least they've got an A in common. Now we need to be careful with our signs. B and then 1. Let's see, what must it be? If I multiply that back in, it must get me back there. If I multiply that back in, it must get me back there, or get me back there. So it must be a plus. Okay, let's take out the A as a common factor there. That will give me 1 minus B. And here I've got B plus 1. So it doesn't look like successful grouping, because even though there were common factors, now there isn't a common bracket. Oh, I made a sign mistake with the first bracket. I'm going to start over. Do you see there? You saw that. Hey, I put the wrong sign there. There needs to be a plus. Okay, whoops. Let's just do that again. So let's try again, grouping the first and the second. It must be a plus. There's the first one. The second one will be minus B and then plus 1, so that we will stay true to the signs. Double checking that. Yes. Take out a common factor of A. There's a 1 left in the first term. And okay, now that looks better, because those brackets are the same. For addition, the order doesn't matter. 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2, so that's fine. And then we can take out that common bracket, 1 plus B, left over in the first term, left over in the second term. Watch out for that. Don't say there's nothing left in the second term. There will be a 1 left in the second term. And there, that's fully factorized. Practice some of these on your own. It is a little bit of a time investment, but it will be worth it.